I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at it is, you know, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Klay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage.
Meanwhile,
it's just sad the way he's talking right now. I never say anything bad about him, and I just want to move on. The fans, my ex-teammates, always keep it hard. It's time for me to move on from that.
Have you spoken to Nico Harrison since you left Dallas?
No.
Have you spoken to him on the night that you were traded?
No.
Was your intention to finish your career in Dallas?
Of course. It's an easy question.
I'm gonna kill myself! Wow. I'm going to kill myself, and it's your fault!
Definitely the mood of Mavericks fans right now. Who can blame them though? I would feel the same way too if I was a Mavericks fan. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about how Nico Harrison embarrasses himself with his Luka Doncic trade comments. Remember, the Mavericks traded away Luka Doncic back in February. Since the Luka Doncic trade occurred, things have gone from bad to worse for the Mavericks organization. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. Is Nico Harrison the dumbest GM in NBA history? I'm going to say yes to this question. Why would you ever trade away your franchise superstar who has no drama off the court for very little in return, or even really for anything in return? You never trade that player 10 times out of 10. This trade was horrible for the Dallas Mavericks in every aspect. You want to talk about on the court? It was horrible. You want to talk about off the court? It was even worse. You want to talk about globally? You're looked at as a clown. Obviously, there was no benefit for the Dallas Mavericks to ever accept this trade. This trade was so bad that I have to question the legitimacy of the NBA in terms of what they allow and what they don't allow. Is the NBA scripted? I mean, come on now. That trade was horrible since day one for the Dallas Mavericks. From a PR standpoint, this was one of the worst trades ever in sports history. This might have been the worst sports trade ever, with the exception of the Deshaun Watson trade. Nonetheless, though, it was still a horrible deal. Luka Doncic has not even really hit his prime years yet, which really explains how Luka Doncic is already so good. Look, Luka Doncic is at age 25. This is not 35-year-old Luka Doncic. This is 25-year-old Luka Doncic. Even if Luka Doncic were 35 years old and playing basketball for the Dallas Mavericks, you don't ever trade away a guy like Luka Doncic if he was performing at the current level. For Nico Harrison to straight up tell lies about Luka Doncic is straight up embarrassing. Like Luka Doncic said, it's quite frankly sad. That's why I say Nico Harrison is an embarrassment to the NBA and possibly even being an embarrassment to society. I was reading one of the comments on my YouTube channel last week. It was for a Nico Harrison video, and I remember this guy named What's Holding Up was talking about how I bet Nico's parents regret having a kid. Now, did he take it a little too far? Probably, but did I find it funny? Absolutely. Nico Harrison is the definition of a useful idiot. I understand that the owners of the Mavericks are the ones really behind this move, but Nico Harrison is still an idiot for agreeing to follow their orders. If I was told to trade away Luka Doncic, I would resign on the spot. What Nico Harrison did was absolutely unforgivable. The Dallas Mavericks built an entire brand based on loyalty, and to trade away one of their most loyal players in franchise history, it's downright embarrassing. It's downright shameful. What Nico Harrison did, it's unspeakable. There is no going back for Nico Harrison. He needs to be fired from his job ASAP if the Mavericks want to have any credibility left. I know they don't care about having credibility. If they did care about having credibility, then they would have never let Nico Harrison trade away Luka Doncic. But hey, it is what it is at this point. Luka Doncic, all he can do is just make the Mavericks regret this move for years to come. I also want to show you guys this clip of Nico Harrison trying to justify his own move of trading away Luka Doncic. He tried to tell reporters why he should not be fired from his job. I absolutely laughed every time Nico Harrison opened up his mouth because it was downright embarrassing and shameful. Roll the film.
Luka comes back to town, the Lakers game's happening, and you're standing there and there's thousands of people chanting for you to be fired. That's an experience that none of us, no one's chanting for for us to lose our jobs. Why shouldn't you be fired?
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end. And so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick.
You serious?
Yeah, okay, buddy, that was not a good answer that you gave whatsoever, and quite frankly, there was no good answer that you could have given to the media. When you traded away Luka Doncic, your walking papers were essentially signed, or at least it should have been if the Mavericks ownership had any credibility. Patrick Dumont and Miriam Adelson, these are basically the owners of the Dallas Mavericks, have zero credibility. They obviously want to move the team from Dallas. Whenever you trade away a franchise superstar like Luka Doncic away for basically a bag of peanuts, that tells me that's not a serious basketball organization. Luka Doncic took the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals just last season. That's how good Luka Doncic was. It's not like Luka Doncic was washed up. I know Luka Doncic was injured at the time of the trade, but it was not like Luka Doncic had a season-ending injury or a career-ending injury. Luka Doncic was only going to be out for a few more games. I know that Nico Harrison is trying to justify his basketball moves. He's trying to say that his roster would have been excellent, but this guy also was talking about how Luka Doncic needed to stay healthy, but he traded Luka Doncic away for one of the most injury-prone superstars the NBA has ever seen, and Anthony Davis, aka Always Ding. I always call him that because he always finds a way to show up on the injury report. Nico Harrison has no credibility left whatsoever. I don't take anything Nico Harrison says seriously. Quite frankly, nobody else should either. I know Kendrick Perkins absolutely loves Nico Harrison, but he's an absolute clown, so I'm not listening to a guy like Kendrick Perkins. Therefore, Nico Harrison is an absolute idiot. There's really nothing Nico Harrison can do at his job that can convince me otherwise. This guy's not going to win an NBA championship anytime soon, and this is probably going to be his last job of employment once he is done with the Dallas Mavericks. Eventually, the Dallas Mavericks have got to fire Nico Harrison. There's really not anything good that can come out of keeping him employed on the organization. If the Dallas Mavericks want to restore credibility, get rid of this man ASAP. And by the way, the new owners need to actually start knowing how the game of basketball actually works. If you're going to attack Luka Doncic, at least actually attack him correctly. Don't say stuff like Luka Doncic is overweight, all right? Because we see what overweight NBA players look like, and Luka Doncic is not an overweight basketball player. I know Kendrick Perkins is trying to justify that right now, but he's an absolute idiot. I'm not taking anything he says seriously in terms of basketball advice. If Kendrick Perkins is agreeing with you on a stupid trade, then chances are you probably just made one of the dumbest trades ever. That's why I'm saying a guy like Nico Harrison is the dumbest GM ever. A 5-year-old could have told you that trading away Luka Doncic for that package was absolutely a terrible idea. And guess what happened? You didn't even make the NBA playoffs after making that trade. You didn't even have the decency to get better in the short term, which, by the way, I could have told you that information for free, but in the long term, you're going to absolutely suck and you're going to suffer in your conference for years to come. Everybody's going to be laughing at the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to be joining in there as well. So that is why Nico Harrison is the dumbest GM ever in NBA history. As Nico Harrison continues to get himself roasted for talking stupidly about the Luka Doncic trade, remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I'm gonna shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.